Hey guys, it's Zang, and today we're gonna make 4 delicious pasta recipes that are gonna upgrade your weeknight dinners. Okay, so we're gonna start with one that is creamy, delicious, using an ingredient that you're not gonna believe. The avocado. We're gonna make a creamy, delicious sauce using just an avocado and a few other fixins. So into my food processor, I'm gonna add the ingredients. I have some parsley here. Just break it up and add it in. This is gonna be very much like a pesto, but creamy and healthy. Then I'll add some basil, like a nice handful, and I'm just tearing it up so that it processes easily in the food processor. Sometimes these leafy things kind of get stuck. 1 garlic clove, scoop in the avocado. This one's like a perfect sized one. Some Parmesan cheese, a little bit of salt, and juice from half a lemon. Close it up, and we'll just give it a whirl. If the avocado gets stuck, just kind of break it up and keep going. I like to stop halfway in between and just scrape the bowl down. All right, that looks good. It looks so creamy. For this sauce, you definitely don't want chunks of avocados, but if you still see like large pieces of herbs in there from the basil or the parsley, it's totally fine. I kind of like it like that, but you can keep blending it until it's like really smooth if you'd like. It's all preference. Okay, this is done. Our sauce is done pretty much. We're gonna set this aside and finish the rest of the pasta. All right, so here I have all of my ingredients for our Primavera, which to me means spring, right? Primavera is spring. So I'm using all of the spring veggies like asparagus. Yeah, actually this is the only one in season. You can find mushrooms and spinach all year long basically, but still it'll be delicious. So in my pot, I'm gonna add a little drizzle of olive oil, turn it on to medium-high heat, let it get hot. Once it's nice and hot, I'm gonna add our asparagus. I've chopped it up into like 2-inch pieces. That's exactly how I like them, but you can chop them smaller or bigger, whatever you like. I'll cook it for a quick minute. Asparagus is like my favorite vegetable. It just tastes so good, sauteed like this. Now I'm gonna add some garlic, mushrooms. Cook these guys up for another minute or two, just until they start to sweat. All right, now the next part's gonna go really fast. I'm going to add some pasta water that I've already reserved, about half a cup. And then my cooked pasta. I'm just using fusili here, but you can definitely use spaghetti, penne, whatever you love. Throw in some spinach, fresh tomatoes, and then our creamy avocado pesto sauce. So once I add the pasta into the pasta water, I'm gonna mix it to let it warm through, get hot, because it's really gonna help melt the avocado pesto when we add it in. Okay, this looks good. Now I'm gonna throw in some baby spinach, some chopped cherry tomatoes, and our avocado pesto. At this point, I also like to turn off the heat so it doesn't like cook the avocado cream, and just give it a mix, mix, mix. Look how the avocado sauce just kind of melted into the pasta, and it just looks so creamy and delicious. Let's go ahead and plate this guy. We'll add a little bit of Parmesan cheese right on top, a basil garnish, and that's the perfect healthy vegetarian weeknight meal. And it came together in probably 15 minutes or less. Let's give it a try. It's garlicky, creamy, and just full of flavor. I actually made this for one of those what I eat in a day type of vlogs on my second channel, and Nate tried it and was blown away. He was like, we need to add this to our regular weeknight meal rotation. So I knew it was a winner, so I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And by the way, if you guys want to see more vlogs, check out my other channel, Wild Honeysuckle, and give it a follow. For this recipe, we're gonna get a little fancy dancy and make a truffle butter pasta, except instead of using real truffle, I'm gonna show you a little hack. So first, I'm gonna turn my heat on to medium-high. We'll let the pan get hot. Then I'm gonna add some butter. Swirl it around the pan, let it get nice and melty. And then I'm gonna cook our minced garlic. I'll just saute everything until it's nice and fragrant for about a minute. I love the smell and taste of garlic, but I definitely don't want it to overpower the delicate and, well, I guess it could be delicate or it could be strong depending on how much truffle you add in, but I'll show you that a little more later. So now I'm gonna add some quartered mushrooms. I'm using baby portobello just because they're nice and meaty. And then I'll just season our mushrooms with a little bit of salt and pepper. Mushrooms really act as a sponge too, so it's nice to season it as you go. So once the mushrooms look like they're about halfway cooked through, we'll add the other ingredients. I'm gonna start by adding some milk. I'm using whole milk here, Parmesan cheese, and then our truffle butter. This is where the truffles, the real truffles come in. This butter already has some black truffles infused into it, and it smells really strong. So a little bit goes an extra long way. I know truffles are really expensive, and who in their right mind at home, unless you're like an extra fancy cook, buys real truffle to like shave it on top, but this is a great hack for a home cook. And I'll just add 1 to 2 tablespoons depending on how strong you like the truffle taste. But I feel like a little bit definitely goes a long way here. Let the butter melt, and I'm just doing this on low heat. And here I have some fresh pappardelle pasta that I've already parboiled, but I'm gonna finish it off in the pan. Just add it along with some pasta water to really revive the sauce and make everything stick. Mix it all up. We'll just let it come back to a quick boil so it can marry together. And you really smell the truffle here. Our sauce is looking nice and creamy. It's getting thicker as you let it sit here, and it's coating the pasta. Once it starts to thicken up, I like to turn the heat off because it will continue to thicken as we serve it and it cools down. So now is the perfect time to plate. Get some mushrooms on there. So even though we added truffle butter into our pasta, I'm gonna finish it off with some more truffle oil, just to really bring out the flavor and give us a nice like mouthfeel. A little bit definitely goes a long way. So just a small drizzle here and there. Then I like to add a little bit of fresh Parmesan right on top. And finally, a nice sprinkling of parsley for a pop of color. Of course, now we have to give it a try. Luxurious. Even though it looks like it's pretty rich, we only used milk, like regular milk, so it's not as heavy as if you were to use cream, but just the flavors from our truffle butter with the truffle oil just makes it taste like one of those $100 pastas that you get at those fancy restaurants, except you made this all at home. You guys have to try this recipe. Now, this recipe is near and dear to my heart. It's one from my cookbook, the Honeysuckle Cookbook, and we are gonna be making garlic noodles with crab. So this recipe was actually inspired by one of the first recipes that I ever made for this channel, and the original recipe was inspired by a restaurant that we ate up in San Francisco that is super famous for their crab and garlic noodles. All right, so first we are gonna start by making the sauce for the garlic noodles. It's really simple. I have some oyster sauce that I'm gonna add to a bowl, some fish sauce, soy sauce, sugar to balance everything out, and then water to thin it all out. All the specific measurements can be found in my cookbook, or I'll also list it down in the description box below for you. Our sauce is done, now we're gonna get cooking. Okay, so now we're gonna saute our crab, and it's really easy. I just have some regular lump crab that I got from, I guess you can say it's a can, but it's wild and it's fresh. You can find them usually in the seafood section, the fresh seafood section at your grocery store. But first, I'm gonna melt some butter. And then I have some onions I've already chopped up. Throw it in, cook it for a minute. And then because this is called garlic noodles, we're gonna be using a lot of garlic. I have 6 cloves of garlic that I've already minced here, and I'm just gonna add half. We'll save the rest for later. Now I'm gonna add the crab. Try not to break it up too much because you want it to look nice and like lumpy. Then I have some Cajun seasoning and smoked paprika that'll just help flavor everything. The crab in the can is already cooked, so what we're doing here is just kind of seasoning it and making it delicious to add to the garlic noodles. I'm just gonna scoop it back out into a bowl. All right, so for the rest of the recipe, we're gonna start again with the same pot or pan. Bring it to medium-high heat, and I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil and some butter. Now I'm gonna add the rest of our garlic. Cook it for a minute, just until it's nice and golden brown. Then we'll add our sauce. Let it simmer for 1 minute. And then I'm gonna add in some spaghetti. So I'm using half a pound of spaghetti dried, but it ends up doubling to about a pound once you cook it. So I'm gonna add the whole thing in here, toss in half of our crab mixture, and mix everything together. Making sure each of the noodle is coated with that beautiful sauce. And I'm just gonna keep it on the heat until the spaghetti soaks up all of the sauce. Now for this dish, I like the sauce to be rather dry, but if you like it a little more saucy, just go ahead and take it off before the noodles soak it all up. All right, let's serve this baby. With long noodles, I always love to give it a nice twist. And we're gonna go for a flat design today. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah. Woohoo! We are not done yet. So because I only used half of the crab in the actual pasta, we're gonna garnish it with more crab on top. That way each bowl gets a nice serving. Now I'll add some Parmesan cheese. It's like a snow crab, get it? And then some slivered green onions right on top for color. Ta-da, there you have it, garlic noodles with crab. All right, let's give it a try. This would make such an excellent date night meal that is sure to impress. But honestly, if you guys didn't want to splurge on the crab, just making it with the noodles by itself is wonderful as a side dish as well. All right, so this next one we're gonna make is restaurant quality, and you may think it sounds fancy and hard to make, but I'm gonna show you it's so easy. We're gonna be making squid ink frutti di mare pasta. So I found this pasta at an Italian market nearby, and it has semolina, wheat germ, black squid ink. It has kind of like a very interesting taste to it. It's salty, a little bit seafoody, but it pairs really well with the rest of the seafood, so I think it's perfect. I always like to salt my pasta water, so I thought the squid ink pasta would look really cool for the video, and it tastes really interesting too. But if you can't find it near you, you can always substitute it for linguine or spaghetti. Any long type of noodle will work perfectly for this recipe. All right, it's looking so good. It looks like my hair. Actually, don't add that, that sounds gross. All right, this looks really good, nice and pliable, cook through. I'm gonna go ahead and drain it. All right, so for the next few steps, this is also gonna go pretty fast. I'm gonna start cooking off our seafood, and I'm gonna add a pat of butter, a drizzle of olive oil, then I'll add my garlic, a little bit of red pepper flakes. Let the butter melt and just kind of cook the garlic for a little bit. Then we'll add a splash of dry white wine. I'm using Pinot Grigio here. This just helps us create some depth in the sauce, but if you don't want to use alcohol, you can always substitute for chicken broth or vegetable broth. All right, once it starts to kind of simmer, we're gonna add our shellfish. Here I have some clams. Add that in. Cover it up. And then I'm gonna let the clams cook for anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes until they all open up. And if they don't open up, that means that it's a bad shellfish. So just toss it out. Yeah. Perfect, they all opened up. Okay, but I'm gonna push them to the side now. And then we're gonna add our shrimp and our squid. I'm using a combination of the tubes and the tentacles just because they add a little bit more texture to the dish. Flip the shrimp over on the other side. And then once you see the squid legs curl up, we're gonna add our sauce. I'm just using my favorite marinara here. Rayo's is the best. And give it a good mix. Now we'll add the noodles in. I'll give it a good mix again and just let everything kind of marry together for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we can serve. Just make sure you don't wear white when you make something like this. All right, we're good to go. Now we'll add some of the shrimp and the squid sauce, and don't forget the mussels right on top. This is the fruit of the sea, so you want it to be bountiful, like a delicious treasure chest of pasta gold. As with all my pasta dishes, I love shaving Parmesan cheese on top and sprinkling a little bit of greens. Fresh parsley, and it's time to eat. If you're a fan of seafood, nothing will ever beat this dish right here. You just have a little bit of everything from the sea, and it's just so perfectly fresh, delicious, and just so much flavor. I hope you guys really enjoyed these pasta recipes. Go ahead and hit that like button if you want to see more pasta recipes, and tell me in the comment section below how often you eat pasta for your weeknight meals, because I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.